Have you ever had that feeling? Like the deepest answers you're really searching for, they aren't out there somewhere in some teaching or system. But actually, maybe they reside deep inside you, just sort of waiting to be found.
Yeah, that's a powerful thought.
Well, today we're going on a bit of a, let's call it a spiritual archaeological dig.
I like that.
We're exploring the fascinating metaphysical side of wells from ancient texts.
Right. Very specific, but surprisingly deep symbolism there.
Yeah, exactly. We'll be focusing on two really rich biblical accounts, Elim from Exodus and the story of Isaac's wells from Genesis.
Two classics, often read literally, but with so much more underneath.
Absolutely. And our main guide for this deep dive is some really insightful excerpts from Dr. Roy E. Richmond's work, 12 Wells Leading to Spiritual Awareness.
A great resource for this kind of interpretation.
Our mission, then, is to pull out some genuinely surprising insights. You know, how these ancient symbols give us a unique perspective on accessing our own inner spiritual faculties.
And navigating that whole journey of self-discovery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the end, hopefully you'll feel, well, pretty well informed about this rich symbolism, and maybe even have a new way to look at your own inner landscape. So let's begin. Let's dive in.
Okay, where do we start?
Let's start with Elim. You find it in Exodus chapter 15, verse 27. The literal text gives us this picture. And they came to Elim, where were 12 wells of water and 70 palm trees. And they encamped there by the waters. Simple enough on the surface.
Right, sounds like a nice stopover in the desert. But metaphysically, it's way more than that. Elim signifies a place of enlightenment and sustenance.
Enlightenment and sustenance.
Yep, and the Hebrew root itself, it carries meanings like strength or divine rest, even spiritual provision.
It's really loaded with meaning.
Totally. Think of Elim as this crucial resting place within our own consciousness, a space for real refreshment, divine nourishment, especially after journeying through what the text implies is dry awareness.
Dry awareness. Like the spiritual wilderness. And those bitter waters of Mara just before this.
Exactly that. It symbolizes moving past that dryness, that bitterness. Elim is a moment of kind of spiritual realization, a deep pause to drink from. Well, call it spirit, breath, the Father aspect of the divine.
Okay.
And importantly, it comes after leaving religious bondage, you know, any system or belief that holds you back spiritually, symbolized by Egypt in the story.
Wow. So it's not just a physical pit stop. It's like a metaphysical blueprint for hitting pause spiritually.
That's a great way to put it, yeah. A necessary pause.
That really shifts the perspective.
Yeah.
Now, it mentions 12 wells of water. How do we understand their symbolism, especially if they aren't just external things?
Well, the number 12 itself is deeply significant in these texts. It often symbolizes divine government, spiritual completeness, and crucially here, the 12 inherent faculties of humankind.
Well, faculty.
Yeah. So each well represents an open channel right here, inside your own conscious awareness. It lets the living water, which is spirit, divine truth, just flow.
Okay.
And the key insight really is that these aren't faculties you have to go out and get or earn somehow.
Right.
They are spiritual endowments already within us. Innate.
Already there.
Already there. They activate. They start to nourish and guide us when we consciously turn inward and begin to live from what the text calls the divine mind.
The divine mind.
Yeah.
Like our highest self. Our intuition connected to something bigger.
Exactly. That core part of you connected to universal wisdom. And these 12 faculties, just to list them, are faith, strength, wisdom, love, power, imagination, understanding, will, order, zeal, elimination, and life.
That's incredible. The idea that these powerful things, faith, love, power, wisdom, are already inside us, not something we need to strive for outside ourselves.
It flips the script, doesn't it? It's about uncovering, not achieving.
Definitely. Okay, so if the wells are these innate faculties, what about the 70 palm trees mentioned? What do they signify?
Ah, the palms. Well, 70 is another number with weight. It often points towards spiritual maturity, divine counsel, maybe complete spiritual leadership.
Like the 70 elders of Israel.
Yeah.
Or Jesus sending out the 70.
Precisely, those kinds of echoes. And palms themselves, they generally represent uprightness, victory, a flourishing consciousness.
Uprightness, victory, flourishing.
Yeah. And when you put the 70 and the palms together, the insight gets pretty profound. It suggests that we eternally were and are upright. We live in victory. We flourish in spiritual awareness.
Eternally.
That's the idea. Our visible form, it was birthed that way. Born holy, safe. It's our inherent nature.
Wow.
So Elindrim, with its wells and its palms, It reveals itself as this dimension of awareness where your inner faculties, those 12 wells, aren't just active. They're supported by this mature spiritual wisdom, the 70 palms.
So it's not just refreshment.
No, it's like a field of formation, a space where your consecrated awareness gets stabilized, trained even.
Like a spiritual boot camp for the inner self.
Sort of,
Right.
where your inherent wisdom isn't just, discovered, but it's also strengthened and kind of activated for use.
Okay, that really grounds Elim as this place of inner formation, building on what's already there.
Mhm.
Powerful.
Hmm.
Now, from this idea of innate completeness,
Yeah.
what happens when we hit resistance?
Ah, yes. Resistance.
Which brings us to Isaac and his wells. Let's shift focus there to Genesis 26. In this story, Isaac reopens the wells his father Abraham dug and digs new ones. But the local herdsmen, the herdsmen of Gerar, they keep fighting him over them.
Right. And metaphysically, these wells also speak of deep inner spiritual truth. A source drawn from within, you see, not from outside doctrines or opinions.
Okay, similar theme of inner source.
Similar theme, but different process. When Isaac redigs a well, it's symbolic. It's about uncovering a spiritual inheritance.
From his father, Abraham.
Representing your divine origin, yes. He's reclaiming what got covered up and who covered it. Religious systems, symbolized here by the Philistines.
And Philistines who were called dust rollers.
Exactly. Which suggests the carnal mind, basically. Lower, unillumined thinking. Worldly distractions, habits of thought that obscure that deeper spiritual truth.
So the story is highlighting obstructions.
Precisely. It shows how many of our own spiritual faculties, our inherent truths, have been, covered over by inherited beliefs, traditions, external stuff that isn't really ours.
I think many people can relate to that.
Absolutely. So redigging these walls, it symbolizes consciously returning to our true source and actively removing those obstructions, the old beliefs, the limiting external systems.
Okay, so with Isaac, we're really digging into the effort involved here. It's not just finding water, but actively uncovering what was hidden
Yes.
and overcoming the obstacles, the dust rollers, to get to it.
Exactly right. And the names Isaac gives these wells, they're incredibly telling. They almost map out this very human journey of self-discovery and reclamation.
Oh. Tell us about the names.
Okay, first there's Esek. It means contention.
Contention. Makes sense, given the fighting.
Right. It reveals that striving, that resistance you inevitably hit internally and maybe externally too when you try to reclaim your spiritual truth.
Okay, Isaac. What's next?
Then comes Sitna. This means enmity or hatred.
Wow, stronger still.
Yeah, it points directly to the opposition from the ego awareness, that part of us that resists spirit's flow. It can show up as inner conflict or, friction with others who represent that old way of thinking.
Isaac, Sitna. Sounds like a struggle. Does it get better?
It does. The journey continues. Next is Rehoboth. This means broad places or room.
A shift.
Definitely. This signifies a breakthrough, that moment of realizing inner spaciousness where flow starts happening. Awareness begins to expand freely. You're not constrained by those earlier battles anymore.
Rehoboth, finding space. Lovely.
Yeah.
And the last one?
The last one is Sheba, which is also known as Beersheba. It means oath or seven.
7, like completion.
Exactly. It signifies a completion, a covenant made with divine awareness. It represents entering that seventh-day consciousness, the state of rest, union, deep peace, alignment, after the inner work.
Okay.
So if you connect these names, Esek, Sitna, Rehoboth, Sheba, it really does map out a recognizable journey, doesn't it? From conflict through expansion to ultimate union or peace.
It really does. A very human journey. Okay, so we have these two incredibly rich stories about wells. Elim, Isaac, each with profound insights. How do they tie together in a bigger spiritual sense?
That's the key question, isn't it?
Yeah, what are the main distinctions and what do they teach us collectively?
Well, both sets of wells, fundamentally, they speak to the progressive awakening of our spiritual awareness. That's the common thread.
Okay, progressive awakening.
But they highlight distinct complementary aspects of that awakening. Elim's wells, remember, represent those 12 inner faculties that are already placed within us, right from our formation.
The innate ones.
The innate ones. The emphasis there is they are not to be achieved, they are simply to be uncovered. Elim represents that spiritual state of rest where these inner gifts flow from within, naturally, independent of external teachings or laws. It's about realizing what you inherently are.
Discovering what's already there in a state of rest.
Okay, then you have Isaac's wells. They illustrate the other side of the coin, the necessity of conscious effort.
Right, the digging, the fighting.
Exactly. The active work needed to reclaim our spiritual inheritance by consciously removing false beliefs, removing conflict from our awareness. That process clears out the resistance. It claims back the inner inheritance that got concealed by that lower awareness, the Philistines, those habits of religiosity or carnal understanding.
So Elim is more about discovery of the innate,
Yes,
and Isaac is about the active process of clearing away what's blocking that innate truth.
you got it. Discovery versus active reclamation and clearing. They work together.
That makes sense. Two sides of the same coin.
Precisely. And ultimately, both stories, taken together, are powerful invitations. Invitations to dig deep within ourselves, to access what the text calls the logos life, that continuous, inherent divine flow, and to really enter into that divine dance, that rhythm of awareness and fruitfulness.
The divine dance, I like that.
Yeah. And the overarching insight really is crystal clear. True spiritual nourishment, genuine progress, it doesn't come from looking outside for help or relying on external systems. It comes from uncovering what is already within us and standing in agreement with our eternal identity, believing in what's already true about us.
So what does this all mean then for you, the listener, who's navigating your own journey right now?
Well, this raises a really important question for each of us to consider.
This has been such a profound deep dive into this ancient wisdom.
Yeah.
It feels like what we've really unpacked today is this core idea. The true source, the real wellspring of spiritual nourishment, understanding, growth, it's already inside us.
Absolutely.
It's like an inheritance just waiting there, waiting to be uncovered, not something we have to acquire from somewhere else.
Exactly right. Elim really highlights that discovery part. Finding those innate faculties, realizing they're there, often in a state of rest or quiet readiness, a divine endowment. While Isaac's wells, they show us the other essential piece, the active conscious process, the need to remove the obstructions, the dust, to actually access that inner truth and reclaim what's inherently ours.
So it's this dynamic interplay, recognizing what you are and then actively clearing the path to fully embody it.
Beautifully put, yes. Recognition and clearing.
So given everything we've explored today, maybe consider this. What wells within you might be waiting to be uncovered right now?
Good question.
Or maybe what obstructions, what old beliefs, what Philistines might you need to identify and start removing so you can access your own innate spiritual faculties and really truly flourish? Could it be that your spiritual journey is less about finding something brand new and maybe more about remembering and reclaiming something ancient and powerful that's already deep within you?